Hello everybody and welcome to this next part in the top 11 video tutorial series. In this video we're going to talk about the special abilities, what they are, which ones are good, which ones are terrible, and what exactly do you do with them. When you see a player on the transfer market or on your roster, sometimes you'll see one of those icons next to their name. These are special abilities. Basically what that means is when the player is in a position to use that ability, they're going to perform at a higher level. Some of these are really good, some of them are pretty useless. So we're going to go down the list and talk about which ones you actually want. So the starters, let's talk about the essentials. This is the defensive wall. In my opinion, that's tied for the most important. I think it adds about 4 to 5 skill points to your guy. So you've got to have those. What those do is they're great at blocking free kicks. And it gives you a huge advantage because if you have those, you can play hard tackling. And I find hard tackling is very effective. So if you have that, you can do that. If you don't have walls, you don't want to do that. So it opens up that door, which is very valuable. I have 2 of them on my team right now, and I almost never surrender a free kick on a free kick goal. I would say this here is also extremely important. This is the aerial defender. It's similar to the wall, but instead of beating free kicks, it beats corners. You definitely want that. I can't imagine having a team without at least one of those. I would also say it adds about 4 to 5 skill points to your team, so you definitely want those. It doesn't give you any advantage as far as being able to do different tactics, but it certainly is something to get. Moving on to some offensive ones. This is the free kick ability. It's really important. If you can have this on the right player, you can get a ton of goals. So that's the name of the game, is getting goals. So you definitely need one of those. I would say it also adds 4 to 5 points to your team if done properly. Now for the ones which are nice to have, but you don't have to have them. But you certainly want to try to get them if you can. I would say this here, the corner ability. It's not as important as the free kick ability because a good free kick guy can get you a goal immediately, whereas a corner guy, even if he kicks a perfect corner, still has to have a receiver, so it's not quite as likely of a goal as a free kick. But it's still nice to have, so I'd rate that adds about 2 to 3 points to any player who has it. So it's equally the same for this one-on-one ability. This is good if you're doing a lot of counterattacks. If you can get a guy like this on a counterattack, your chances of scoring go up, so that's definitely good. It's really nice when it comes up. It just doesn't come up all that often, but if I see a guy with that, I certainly don't hesitate to try to get him. This here is also very nice to have on your keeper. This is definitely the best ability for a keeper. That's the one-on-one stopper. It's the counter of the one-on-one ability. So if your keeper is getting a lot of one-on-one situations and you have this, then you have a good chance to stop them, much more than if you don't have it. So I try to get a keeper that has that, but if my keeper doesn't have it, it's not the end of the world. But I do find it pretty nice. I think it adds probably about 3 points to your keeper. The Shadow Striker isn't bad. It does have some value, but you certainly don't need them. It just gives your guys a chance to make longer ranged kicks. So it's worth some goals if you got guys who do a lot of long range attacks, but it's probably worth about 2 points. Playmaker, it sounds great, but it doesn't really do as much as you'd think. It really just gives you a little more ball possession, or on passing type plays, in theory it's better. There's some debate whether it actually does anything at all, but I've had them. I've never really noticed anything great out of them, but some people say they're quite good, so I'm not going to go out of my way to get one of those, but it's not terrible. I'd give it about a value of about 2 points. Continuing down the list, the Dribbler. I've never had one of these, and I probably won't, because I've never seen them do anything. I'm not really sure what it does. It never seems to work for anybody I've seen have them, so I don't really want one, and I don't know too many people that want one either, so I'll just pass on that. Maybe it's worth a point, I don't know. I've never had one, so if you want to try one, be my guest. This is the penalty stopper. It's for your keeper. It has its value if you get in a penalty shootout or you're facing a penalty. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. Now, it is nice to have a keeper who can save a penalty. The only problem is that just doesn't happen too often. A penalty shootout is very, very rare in top 11. I think I've only been in 2 in 9 seasons. So having a guy like that would only be good every several seasons. As far as actually stopping penalties in a game, I face maybe 2 or 3 a season. So it sounds nice, but it just doesn't come up enough to really make a difference. So, I mean, maybe that's worth about a point. If you happen to get in a penalty shootout and you have one of these guys, then congratulations, you'll probably win it. But I'm not going to pay extra for that when chances are I'll never use it. This here, I believe, is the least valuable one of them all. That's the penalty specialist. I have one of those this season. He's missed 2 out of 3. He is no longer taking my penalties. All I can say is I am very disappointed with that. I didn't actually pay extra for it. I just got it because it was on the guy I already wanted anyway, so I looked at it as, if it's worth anything, then it's just added value. It's worth absolutely nothing, so I would grade that as a 0. I would never pay for that. I would never train for that. I would never want that. It does nothing. I have that on my second highest rated offensive player, and I don't even use him for my penalties because it does nothing. Not to mention the fact that you may only have 2 or 3 penalties a season, and if you did happen to get in a shootout, whereas your keeper, you get to use your special ability 5 times, with that you get to use it 1 time, so it's even less valuable. So where do we want to put all these, and what's the strategy for acquiring them? Well, for some of them, the more the better. Some of them, you just really want one. We talked about these guys first, the walls and the aerial defenders. You can have as many of those as you want. Ideally 2 of each, if you play 4 defenders, 2 and 2. But you got to have at least 1. But there's nothing wrong with having more of these. This guy, the first one is very valuable as long as he's on either your striker or some attacking player. If you have more than one of these, the second one has no value because you just want your best player taking your free kicks. You really don't want to switch around. Barcelona is not going to tell Messi he's not going to take his free kick because their left defender has a free kick icon next to his name. So you just want one of these, but you want it to be on an attacking player. If it's on a defender, it's not worth anything. So always make sure you get that on an attacking player. The same for the corner. You just need one of them. If you have more than one, the second one has no value. You also only want that on an attacking player. And again, free kick and corner, they give you the option to put it on a defender, and you'll see them on defenders on the transfer market. But those have no value. So don't go after those. Make sure your corners and your free kicks are on attacking players. The one-on-one ability will go on strikers, and you can have as many of those as you want. They're always useful. Same with shadow strikers. They go on attacking midfielders, AMLs, AMCs, AMRs. And you can have as many of those as you want. They don't interfere with each other. Playmakers and dribblers go on midfielders. I've never had more than one. I've never thought to have more than one, but whatever. If you have more than one of those, you're probably doing something strange. So you definitely don't want more than one of those. This, if you think they're helpful and you want them, go for it. They're not going to interfere. This, you're only using one keeper, so if you want this symbol on your starter and this on your backup, no, that's not a terrible idea, but I would definitely just get this on all my keepers if I was going to get an ability. And as for this, I don't want that. I don't care who it's on, but you definitely don't want that on, say, your star striker. That would be a disaster, because if I take my best striker, I want this. Maybe this or this. I don't want some junky ability that's going to interfere with something else. Just like my best defender, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. I want these guys. These guys are going to turn my great defender into a superstar. So when you see that 18-year-old, super expensive, fast training, defensive center, and he has this gives you 0. If you see the same guy with this, add a star to him, because it's really awesome. So, that pretty much covers the special abilities. Now you'll know which ones you want, and which ones you don't want, and which ones are just complete garbage, and how to use them. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again on the next part. Have a great day.